And welcome back to Capitol Tonight. Well, 3 long weeks of scrutinizing ballots and issuing dueling press releases all came to an end yesterday when Democratic incumbent Congressman Dan Maffei officially conceded the 25th congressional district race to his Republican challenger, Marie Buerkle. Her win by less than 600 votes was not only hard fought, but also actually historic. She is the first woman to be elected to the House from Central New York. We are joined tonight by the Congresswoman-elect. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Liz. It's great to be here.
Well, congratulations on your win. It was sort of a long time in coming. Why do you think it took so long for the incumbent congressman to decide finally to concede?
Well, I think both camps really felt that we should let the process play out, that we should have every eligible vote counted. Unfortunately, there were some hiccups along the way, but at the end of the day, all of the ballots were counted and we prevailed, which was our hope right from the beginning.
Do you feel confident in the system? I mean, obviously this was a new system. There were problems in Wayne County that I have heard described as a fair degree of human error and confusion with the new machines. Do you feel comfortable with the way this played out? Obviously you won, but going forward, do you believe the changes need to be made?
No, I think the system worked very well. I think that our 4 county boards of elections did an outstanding job. An additional burden was placed on them, but all of the machines were recanvassed and audited, and then they counted the absentees. And there was absolutely no sign that there was machine malfunction or any signs of tampering. And we were very pleased. And we really, from the beginning, we said, let's let all of the eligible votes be counted. Let's let this process play out. And it did, and the boards of elections should all be commended for their great work.
So yesterday I saw footage of the press conference at which you announced your victory. 567 votes is a victory. Obviously it's not, however, a mandate. And you were asked about whether you thought you might compromise on some of your positions. You came in as a pretty staunch conservative on a variety of different areas. And one thing struck me that you said you think there could be open dialogue and common ground in areas to make compromises. What areas might those be?
Well, what I said in that press conference was that I don't believe anyone would elect me on the principles that I stood for and then expect me to compromise them, and I won't compromise them. But I think it's important to realize that there are many approaches to problems. We need to sit down and talk. We need to find the common ground and then go from there. But I think it's just the wrong approach to say, well, I believe in this, you believe in this, and there's nowhere in between that we can meet, and I don't intend to do that. I need and will work very hard to be the representative for all of the people in the 25th Congressional District.
Do you see any particular areas where you might be able to compromise with the Democrats across the aisle?
Well, not speaking about specific legislation, I think right now, I think the first thing that's going to come up are the extension of the tax cuts. My belief is that they should be made permanent for all Americans. We'll see what happens and whether or not the lame duck session takes those on.
Do you believe, right, if it gets done in the lame duck session, it's not obviously something you would have to vote on because you won't be sworn in until January, but do you believe there's a possibility that there could be some kind of, again, a compromise in which the very richest Americans would not, in fact, get to keep the tax cuts? Is that something that you might be able to vote yes on?
No, my position has been clear, and again, this is where I don't believe the constituents would want me to, whether you agree or you disagree. My position has been clear that we make those tax cuts, we extend those tax cuts for all Americans, and I wouldn't deviate from that position, because I think at the end of the day, those high income earners, those are the job creators. That's what we have to be encouraging and fostering. We've got to get this economy back on track, and we've got to create jobs and reduce unemployment. That's one of the biggest mandates that sent many of us to Washington.
You know, the district is actually pretty closely divided, and not just demonstrated by the vote that we saw between yourself and outgoing Congressman Maffei, but the enrollment is actually close. It's about 150,000 Democrats, 146,000 Republicans, and 109,000 what we call blanks, people who are unaffiliated with either party. Does that not indicate to you that a very pragmatic approach needs to be addressed in order, if you want to keep the seat, that is? And of course, next time around, it's a presidential year, and this is still a blue state.
That's right. I think the most important part about being a representative is to be available, to be accessible, to be accountable to your constituents. We need to find the common ground, and we will do that. I need to have conversations with many institutions, with the businesses, with individuals. We need to have extensive town hall meetings so that I can get a feel for what the people in this district wanted. But what I heard when I was out on the campaign trail and what I was elected to do is to reduce the size of government, increase the effectiveness of government, lower taxes, and get the government out of our way so we can create jobs and we can have our economy turn around and be more successful than it is right now.
You know, one of the things that is also coming down the pike, of course, is redistricting, and the state Senate will be controlling that, and the state assembly, the legislature in Albany. Have you had any conversations with anybody about this? I know of course, you just won, but has anyone indicated to you a possibility that your district would change or be actually done away with? Because it's possible that New York will lose up to 2 seats after the next round of lines is drawn.
I have not, Liz. I've not talked to anyone about redistricting and what what it might look like or might not look like. My biggest concern right now is to get my organization into place, begin to address the issues that the people of this district are concerned about, and hit the ground running in January when we get to Washington.
So you were actually at orientation, so it's a good thing that you were there, as it turns out. Do you have any feeling about what committees you might want to serve on and what focus you would like to have, what bills you might be interested in pushing forward early?
I have thought about and talked with some of my steering committee representatives about various committees, Energy and Commerce, Armed Services, the Appropriations Committee. The issue this year is that there's so many new freshmen. The freshman class is about 85, I believe. And so there's going to be a lot of jockeying for these positions on the committee. So it'll be interesting to see where I'm placed and which committees I get. But I'm hopeful that they will be committees that are relevant to upstate New York and to our 25th district.
You know, also, I mentioned it at the top of the interview that you are historic. Your election is historic in nature. You are the first woman to hold the position that you're holding from the 25th Congressional District. This was supposed to be the year of the woman. We were supposed to see women resurgent all over the place. And it didn't really work out that way nationally. There were some wins by women. But what do you think that the challenges are that prevent women from, A, running to begin with, and B, being successful when they actually do run?
Well, I don't know what the answer to that question is, Liz. I think it depends on the district. I think it depends on the person. I'm hopeful that right now when someone runs for office, they're not chosen because of their gender, but they're chosen because of their ability to perform the office that they're running for. And I am proud to be the first female congressman from the 25th Congressional District, but I don't think of it in terms of gender. I think of it more in terms of I've got a job to do, and I will do it to the best of my abilities, and I'm so looking forward to the challenge.
And I just also want to ask you one other thing that you are not going to actually be voting on, I don't believe, is the issue of Congressman Rangel's censure. This is going to come up, we think, after the Thanksgiving break. And we've been trying to talk to a number of members of the delegation. Some of the Democrats, some of the downstate Democrats, are either speculated to maybe not going to be showing up, or at least one, Greg Meeks from Queens, says he will not vote yes on the censure. How would you have voted? Well,
not knowing all of the details, I certainly know what Congressman Rangel's been charged with. I think it's very important to hold elected officials to a very high standard. And part of the anger of the American people is that people who are in office are treated differently and they don't have to adhere to the same rules. And I think it's important we send a message that if you violate the law, if you're guilty of these ethic violations, then you should be held accountable, and I think censure is certainly appropriate.
There's a report out today that GOP leadership in the House is actually using Congressman Rangel as a case study of what not to do for freshmen who are coming in. Is that true? It
wasn't brought up to us, They didn't specifically talk about him. We did have a very extensive course about ethics and the need to keep your campaign very separate from your congressional office and all of the regulations and the rules that we must adhere to. And I think a failure to adhere to those rules, you really have to be held accountable. That's what the American people expect. As elected officials, we should be held to a high standard, and I think that's extremely reasonable.
Well, Congresswoman-elect, I want to congratulate you and also say Happy Thanksgiving. And I'm sure that it is going to be a rest that is well-deserved. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you very much. Happy Thanksgiving to you.